Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Welcome everybody to our Jump In series once again, our Bible study. I'm speaking on the subject of the greatest sermon ever preached by the greatest man who ever lived. And this is Beatitude number 3. Blessed are those who have power under control. Matthew chapter 5, verse 5. A meek person is willingly submitted to the will of God, not a show-off, but a person completely sold out to God. Nowadays, we don't use the word meek. It's an old word. So many people have replaced it with gentleness. We think of someone who is meek. He is mild-mannered, he is soft-spoken, or even weak. He's easily a pushover, but that's not necessarily so. So what is meekness? Number one, meekness is not weakness. Totally opposite, as we see it in the Bible. It is strength under control. It is power under control. Jesus describes himself in Matthew 11, verse 29. He said, "Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. For I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest to your soul." Jesus was the meekest person that ever lived and ever walked the earth. But was he weak? The Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 12, Jesus entered the temple and he saw the people making the house of God into a den of thieves. They were gambling and they were exchanging businesses in the house of God. And he overthrew the table. Would a weak person do that? He overthrew the tables, the Bible tells us, and he made a cord of whips with ropes and he drove them out. And he said these powerful words, "My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves." So meekness is definitely the opposite of what people think meekness is. Meekness is actually submissive to the Holy Spirit. Think of another person in the Bible. His name was Joseph. And he was promoted to the most powerful position in the world. He became Pharaoh. One day his brothers came to meet him. They couldn't recognize him. They didn't come to really see him. They came to see Pharaoh. 22 years, they have forgotten about him. They thought he was dead. But Joseph is now the most powerful person alive. And he was meek when he forgave his brothers. Moses, he called himself the meekest man on earth. It's found in the book of Numbers. But when he was 40 years old, he killed an Egyptian for abusing or beating up an Israeli. And he hid his body. And so God kind of let Moses go into the backside of the desert for another 40 years, let him talk to sheep. And 40 years, 80 years, when he was 80 years old, he comes on the scene. And now he's a meek man. But was he weak? You think a weak man can go up to Pharaoh and say, "Let my people go," or else? So meekness is not weakness, it is power under control. David was a mighty warrior. He was unbeatable. Even when he was a shepherd boy, he killed the lion and the bear. We all love that story. And then he killed the giant that came to blaspheme the nation of Israel. One person, David alone, killed that giant. He took 5 stones. It took 1 stone to kill the giant, but Goliath had 4 brothers. Did you know that? So David was a meek shepherd boy who loved God. And then when he wanted to marry Saul's daughter, Michal, Saul wanted him to be killed because he was very envious of David. And he commanded his men to tell David, "I want 100 foreskins of the Philistines." He expected David to die. But David took his men and he brought back to his future father-in-law 200 foreskins of the Philistines. That's strength under control. But there's something beautiful about being a meek person. And that's what makes God so beautiful, so attractive. And when you and I allow the Holy Spirit to do a work in our lives, and that makes us something beautiful that is made by the Spirit of God. So what produces meekness? It's definitely we are not born meek. We don't have a natural trait because our nature, all of us have a sin nature. Can an apple tree produce an orange? So neither can we produce meekness. God is the meekest person in all the universe. And even today, we don't see God judging people and punishing people, although we think He must. But God is the meekest person in the universe. Tremendous power and strength under control. When we are filled with the Spirit of God, it says in Galatians, but the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, meekness, and self-control. Meekness is many times translated gentleness. What does meekness produce? That's a very, very important question. Jesus said, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Meek people inherit the earth. The world thinks if you are rude and if you are tough and you push your way around, you will get your way and you will inherit the earth. No, completely opposite to what Jesus said. Does that mean that when we inherit the earth, we get our chance to kick everybody that we don't like around and, to show off our power? No. The Bible tells us in Psalms 37 and verse 7 and 8, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Fret not, that means don't get excited, don't get nervous, don't get anxious. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way and the one who carries out evil devices. Refrain from anger, forsake wrath, fret not. Fret not, it only leads to evil. So God is telling us to come and learn from Jesus. Thank God for the Holy Spirit, that we can be filled with the Holy Spirit and learn what it is to have a spirit of meekness, not weakness. May the Lord bless you as you jump into your discussion times, and maybe open our hearts to the Holy Spirit to work in all our lives, so that one day we will receive the reward of inheriting the earth. God bless you.